I moved back to Liverpool and I started working at a club called 24 Kitchen Street. And originally I was working there on the bar, and then I became a programmer there. So I was kind of like in the thick of it, like on the other way round. So I was booking DJs, programming DJs, and I was at that point as well getting a lot of DJ opportunities myself to play in the club, to play in other local clubs. And at the same time, I was also a youth worker. So I was working in a youth club in Toxteth, which is a community that's very similar to Brixton in South London. Very multicultural, similar kind of histories to Brixton, you know, rooted in community. Similar demonisation, I guess. You know, when I used to tell people I was growing up in Brixton, it'd be like, oh, and now Brixton is very up and coming and very trendy. And Toxteth, yeah, there's a lot of community there, and it's an area in Liverpool that I have a lot of time and respect for. I've lived there for the majority of my time there, and there's a lot of cultural organisations, you know, arts organisations, youth organisations that I'm really passionate about kind of amplifying, particularly when it comes to arts access for young people in Liverpool. So I started working there as a youth worker, trained as a youth worker, but I was also teaching the kids how to DJ. And one time, Hannah Lynch came in also to do a DJ workshop, and I was like, oh, I DJ a little bit as well. And she was just like, why don't you do the DJ workshops with me, with the kids? So we started doing that together. So we kind of cultivated a friendship through that, and then she ended up becoming one of my best friends. And the owner of 24 Kitchen Street saw all the things that we were doing in the youth club with the kids, and essentially we were putting on like little showcases for the families to come, and at the end of like 4 weeks they'd do like a few blends in front of everybody. And the owner of the club was like, why don't you do that, but here for adults? Because, you know, we're really struggling, it's the pandemic, we need kind of like new events, so why don't you do like a female DJ night? And I was like, okay, that sounds good. So essentially, Girls Don't Sink, we were promoters. We were only booking people. We weren't the ones really DJing. Matty, who's on the very end, I went to school with her. Her biggest passion was radio. So during lockdown, she borrowed my decks to just, I guess, help in synchronicity with radio, try and get her to that space, because she thought DJing would, you know, act as a kind of a good benefit to have knowledge-wise in terms of launching her career in radio. So he was like, you know, Matty, you obviously know Hannah from doing the workshops. And Sophia at the end was a student at the time. And she used to come in and she used to DJ for this student garage night. And I remember the first night I met her because I was on the bar, and I ended up just getting her really, really drunk because she was really nervous. And again, there wasn't that many DJs at the time coming through, playing at the club that were girls. And I'm not going to say like I had a bias towards them, but I did, obviously, because, you know, you see a girl walking in, I just instantly wanted to make her feel comfortable. I know what that feels like. Even now, I know what that feels like to walk into a club or walk into a space, the green room, behind the booth, and it be very, very like heavily male-dominated. And it's daunting. It's daunting for me even now. And yeah, I just wanted to take Sophia under my wing. So I just made friends with her. And it just kind of happened quite naturally, where I just sent a message being like, guys, I'm thinking of doing a female DJ night. Do you want to run it with me? And everyone was up for it. So we started doing it, and it was sat down, which is obviously so weird to think of now. So everybody was sat down. Me and Hannah were teaching in Liverpool, girls of all ages. So essentially we'd be booking the girls that we were teaching to come and do like their first, I guess, like club set. Obviously it wasn't really a club at that time, but it was the closest thing we had. While people had to eat food, I don't know if you guys remember that, everybody had to sit down, listen to music without standing up, and eat. You had to have a meal at the time. So it was weird, but we made it work. And I think on the second event, we went back to back, and we were like, oh, that was good. This is really good. And we just had this flow between us, and we'd all had this kind of like shared passion and understanding for what we wanted to do, and how special it was, to have like girls come to us, play at our nights. And we kind of thought we were onto something quite special. Obviously, me and Matty had the links of being from London, so we started doing the same kind of stuff in London. Again, very small scale, pubs, bars, smaller venues. And ultimately, it just began to grow and grow and grow. And we were still putting on the events, and obviously we were kind of like the face of it, but something that's always been like really rooted in Girls Don't Sink is that kind of celebration and representation of DJs, particularly marginalised genders, that we want to celebrate, we want to talk about, we want to put them on lineups, we want to give them that space and that opportunity. And it makes me really proud to say that that's something that we still do, and something that's really like core to, I guess, our ethos. And for us, you know, being the only girls on the lineup to us isn't success. Otherwise, we've just failed. If I see a lineup and we're the only people on it, because I think for a lot of promoters, They see us as a four. They see a black girl, a mixed race girl, a gay girl, and I think that they've ticked like every box. And to us, diversity also doesn't just, end with start and end with gender. It's so much more than that. So we really want to be part of those kind of cultivating those conversations, and also like putting pressure on promoters and festival bookers to actually do something and to change something. And yeah, I'd like to see way more like female DJ collectives, marginalised genders coming together and creating your own stuff. I think Girls Don't Sing was birthed kind of something very like natural. And I think, yeah, the power of collaborating and coming together over, I guess, a shared love and understanding for music, and like a passion project kind of accidentally turned into our profession, which is still crazy to think about. So we were doing these events across London, Manchester as well, and again, quite small scale. And then we did a Mixmag they did a series, they still do it, it's called In the Lab, and they do them all around like the UK, and they did one in Liverpool. And we were really surprised that they asked us to do it, because majority of DJs that I'd seen doing these kind of like Boiler Room, Mixmag, DJ Mag sets, the filmed ones, were predominantly like bigger DJs than us. So I was like, oh, that's pretty surprising that they've asked us. But we were made up, they asked us to curate the lineup. We booked some local DJs and some friends to be part of it. And we did the set, and we asked them not to put it up. Because I thought it was shit. Sorry, I don't know if I can swear. I thought it was awful. And I was so conscious that this was the first time that a video of us, I think it's a 2-hour set, filmed set was going to exist on the internet. And I was already like prophesizing just all the hatred, obviously, and all the comments. And I was you can see it at one point, me and Matty in the video, we started like having an argument because one of my loops wasn't working or something. And there's so much pressure. And that's another thing as well, especially after COVID, this fixation on everything being filmed, and like you having to be like the face of your music. I know a lot of DJs who are some of the most introverted, nervous people I've ever met, and they really don't want to be the face of the music. They just want to play the music, and this thing of everybody in a club now facing a DJ and everybody filming it and everything captured. It can put a lot of pressure on the person, obviously, behind the decks, and that's not something that a lot of people think about. Every time I go and DJ, I obviously just have to be completely comfortable with the fact that I don't know who's going to film me, for example. I might be wearing maybe a low-cut top. I might be, feeling a little bit anxious, this, that. There's so many factors, particularly as women, that we face that a lot of people don't really realise of like what it means to put yourself out there. And that Mixmag set was that first hurdle of just, I'd say like hyper paranoia. I don't think I slept that night. I was really, really worried that when this video came out, we were just going to get actually like obliterated, to be honest. And we said to the guy who was from Mixmag who was there, please don't put this up. And he literally told us to piss off. And he was like, I'm still going to put it up. And he was like, some of the biggest DJs that we've done this with have said the exact same thing. And he was just like, I think it's brilliant, and I think you just need to be confident, and it's going up. So we were like, okay. And then the next day it went up, and not to sound cringy, but it changed our lives. So that was probably like the catalyst of our career, like that going online. There was a lot of horrible comments, naturally. But I'm also now, 3 years on, very, very secure in understanding that anything you post online, when you put it out to the world, there will be people that don't like it, unfortunately. And we are literally like an incel's worst nightmare. There's 4 of us. A lot of people also, they fear what they don't know, and they've never really seen anything like this before to this degree. And also, we're 4 friends, so we have a laugh, we dance, and I think there's always loads of comments about, oh, they're not actually DJing, they're not actually mixing. And the fact our name is called Girls Don't Sing, obviously we wanted to use something that's quite provocative and use something that's, I guess, a stigma against female DJs, and kind of like take ownership of that.